Okay, so if you're like a lot of people, you may only have one outlet in your garage. And if you're like me, you want to have more than that. And so what you need to do is have an electrician come out and add a junction or outlet box somewhere, which is time consuming and expensive. So if you want to do it yourself, we're going to walk through how to do that. So the issue is we have our outdoor lighting system here that's plugged into this electrical outlet. We also have the sprinkler system plugged into that outlet. Then it's on this extension cord, which then runs up to the one outlet in the garage, which is on the very top of the ceiling in the middle of the garage to power the opener. So what we want to do is basically add another junction box splitter here. It's going to run the wire along the ceiling, down the wall, and then basically create another box right there. So we're going to walk through how to do that. So here's what you need. You need the two boxes here. These are new electrical boxes. One of these boxes is just going to get applied to the top of the existing box, and we're going to take off the wiring from that outlet and then just put it into this new box, which is going to be attached directly to that box. And then the second box here is going to be located right on the wall. So that's where the power is going to come in. We're going to add a GFCI outlet to that wall, so that way when that wire going outside through the foundation, if that's ever hit by a shovel or something, or it's severed and water touches it, it doesn't flip the breaker in the back of the house on the main electrical panel. It just switches this off. So it's quite convenient that way. Then you just need the covers for the outlet. You'll want one of these. This is optional, but it's very handy to have. These are only a couple of bucks. I'll link to this. So this basically, you just plug it in and you can tell immediately if your power is on, and if it is on, if you have a ground fault or if it's wired correctly within the box itself. So it's a great way to check your work. You'll need these junction pieces for the aluminum conduit. I'm using 1/2-inch aluminum galvanized conduit. These are compression fittings for when the aluminum conduit fits into the box here. You use one of these fittings to make that connection. These are just pieces that attach, little strap pieces that attach to the conduit and then drill into the ceiling and the wall. For that, you need drywall anchors here. So basically, this is what's going to hold the conduit, the aluminum conduit, onto the wall itself. You need just normal wire cutters with strippers to do all the wiring. You'll need a couple 90-degree bend pieces depending on how many bends you're going to make. I'm only going to make 2 bends there and then there on the corner, so I just need 2 of these guys. And then you'll need either wire or tube cutters like this, or just a hacksaw. We'll be able to cut this aluminum. Then obviously the wire. And then finally you need the aluminum conduit itself. So I'm using a 1/2-inch conduit, so you just measure out whatever the length of the run is from your existing junction box to the new junction box on the route that you want to take it. And then you just buy this conduit. It's only, $3 per tube, and these are 10 feet long, so relatively inexpensive. The connection pieces actually cost more than the tubing itself. So it's not going to cost a ton of money to do this. These gang boxes are only a couple bucks. These are only a couple bucks. This is a couple bucks. This is probably the most expensive piece. This is anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks, just depending, 15 to 30 bucks, just depending on what kind of brand you get and type. I'm using a 20 amp. Depending on what you're powering, you might only need a 10 or 15 amp. And that's it. Let's get started. Okay, so the first step is to clean up all the wiring. So I have this actually running through the foundation wall into the yard to run our outdoor lighting. So we're going to tie this directly into the junction box, so this is all hidden and cleaned up. So the first thing you want to do is make sure it's unplugged, and then trim this off to a size appropriate for wiring it into the junction box. So basically this will just fit onto the wall with that hole going through, and then it'll be fed from the top with power, and then this will go out to the yard. Alright, so now that the box is installed, we can measure from the top of the box to the top of the ceiling to get the approximate measurement for our initial conduit cut, so 86 inches. So once you cut your conduit, you want to make sure that you get a rasp or something to clean out the insides of this. Otherwise, when you put your wire through, it's potentially going to cut your wire. So just make sure this is very smooth on the inside of this cut before you do anything else. Box is fitted onto the wall and secure, and we've attached these little mounting brackets as well. We've made sure that it's absolutely level running up to the ceiling. Now we can fit in this 90-degree piece. So we'll hold the 90-degree piece up to the ceiling and then figure out where we need to cut. Now what you want to do is just rough fit all of the conduit to where it's supposed to go and start installing the anchors. Continue to rough fit in the conduit piece by piece, and you'll just get to a point where you're just measuring this and then continuing to cut each part. So you can see here, we want this to shift that way. So we're gonna need to cut this piece right about there. Once we make that cut, we'll fit this 90-degree piece on there, and then we'll make a corresponding cut to this piece here. Once we make that cut, this should all fit together, and we should be ready to run the wire and then fit that box. All right, so we're continuing to cut these to size on the rough fit. So a good quick way to measure is just to take an extra piece of pipe. So there's the distance from center to center, marked with the black line. So you just transcribe that over to here, and now we know that's where we need to cut on this pipe to make this 90-degree junction work. Okay, so now we've got all of the conduit loosely fit up along the ceiling and along the walls. We have not yet touched any of the hot wiring or the junction box that we're gonna tie into for power. Once we run the wires through, we're not gonna connect them to anything yet, but then we're gonna add more of these little clips with the drywall anchor so everything's really good and secure, and then that'll be the final time up, and then we'll work on wiring it up. All right, so now we are going to run the wiring through the conduit. So now that everything's rough fit, we're going to connect the outlet here on the new outlet side. So here's the power coming in. We're going to connect this to the hot outlet on the top of the ceiling that's connected to the garage. And then this is the wire that then goes out to the outside to power all the outdoor lighting and everything. So if you're not doing a secondary J-box, then you don't have to worry about this part. You're just going to have one wire coming in. But this is how you connect the GFCI outlet. So first thing you want to do is cut everything to length. You want about 6 to 8 inches of kind of a pigtail for the wire to connect everything. And then you want to slice this with a utility knife and kind of get everything stripped down so you can get all the wires connected. So basically the hot line is going to connect to the top part, and then the piece that's going out, the wire that's going out, is going to connect on the bottom. So that way this wire that's running outside is connected by the ground fault interrupter outlet here. So you want to make sure you wire it right. Look at the diagram in the package itself. So on this one, the hot wire is the black, so we're going to plug that in to here. Okay, so everything is rough fit. We've got all the conduit running. All that's wired up and finished, ready to go. Conduit is in, except in this point it's loosely in. And so now the last step is to basically turn off this wire, this junction box, which is still hot, and then wire it to the new junction box. I've already pre-wired it to this new section. So basically all we have to do is just shut off the power at the main breaker to this, just rewire it, drill through here, and then connect it all to these two lines and the ground, and we should be good to go. We just want to confirm that the power's off by plugging in our tester. So you can see none of the lights are on. This is totally off. All right, so now that the new outlet is all connected and plugged in and good to go, we're just gonna put this permanently into the box and screw that in. We're also gonna go through and just make sure this is very secure, add a couple more little clips to the ceiling, and then we should be good to turn the power back on. So there you have it. We're all wired in and painted up. You can see we're going from that junction box, which is the original one that fed the garage door opener, wired everything down with electrical conduit down to the new junction box. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe because we got a lot of cool projects coming down the pipeline, so stay in touch.